So I was talking to a friend of mine. Let's call him Dave. Dave was dropping his dad off at the airport, and his dad, out of nowhere, mentions hearing that Japan is offering black men $75,000 to impregnate their women. Now, if you're anything like me, you'd immediately think, that's insane, Dave. What are you on about, Dave? Well, Dave also felt this way. He asks his dad, where did you see this? But let's be honest, he already knew where. Dave hoped for his dad to bring up an outlet or site, but of course, as he glances over at his dad's phone as he's searching, he sees that he's on the book-faced site. A few seconds go by, and then Dave hears a voice blaring out of his dad's phone speakers.
Black man, Japan needs you.
Dave's father plays this whole video from his phone right as they reached the airport. So this conversation would have to end for now, but come on. Where did this myth even come from? I was thinking. Dave had no clue, but I know a little something about sociological and cultural issues in Japan, having studied it some. This story was out there, to say the least. Dave threw his hands up about it, but I simply could not get this story out of my head. So I did some digging. And now we're here. Welcome to this video. Susan Lebselter, anthropology professor and writer, wrote a book titled The Resonance of Unseen Things, Poetics, Power, Captivity, and UFOs in the American Uncanny. Lebselter writes on many people she talked to in the American Southwest that's lives were shaped by conspiracy. She doesn't break down alien encounter stories with the goal of debunking them or reporting them as true, but with the goal of looking at them in a larger historical, cultural, philosophical context in American society. She asks how and why these types of stories start and spread. When she writes, it just made sense, it just fit in with the feeling people said they'd already been having, I couldn't help but be reminded of how we weren't all born into the world yesterday. We have lives and histories and lineages and traumas and traditions, all of which stretch forward into the present. When you hear that a celebrity has a weird sex scandal, you aren't looking at them with brand new eyes. You've grown up in a society where some celebrities have those kind of scandals. Sometimes society does this to you over time, and sometimes people feed you your favorite food and mix their medicine in with it. When I talk about this, I tie it to the idea of priming. Cambridge Dictionary defines it as telling someone something that will prepare them for a particular situation. What I've noticed over the years in hearing all sorts of conspiracy theories, and even believing some at much earlier points in my life, is that people don't just accept brand new ideas whole cloth. Typically, there are aspects of an idea that bring them into accepting a larger story. This is what I mean when I talk about priming. You can be primed by already existing theories and ideas that you hold, or you can be negatively primed, where a lack of mistrust can prime you into disbelieving things coming from certain institutions. Lebselter writes, when a man came into the bar testifying the New World Order and the devious plot of all the powers that be, Randall says it stopped him dead in his tracks. It was his conversion narrative. It hit him like a bolt of lightning, he said, because like he said, all his life he just knew that something wasn't right. This man gave him the words. We as humans are constantly in mental battle with the truth, lies, and everything in between, and this battle has only become more fierce and complex in the age of the internet and social media. Our constant inundation with all types of content means that while we have access to so much more well-researched information, we are also constantly barraged with BS. You know the expression that humans are pattern-seeking animals? Well, Lebselter addresses this when discussing apophenia, which she defines as the experience of perceiving connections between random or unrelated objects. That inclination in us humans gets us to see patterns even when they might not actually exist. But let's move away from the theoretical and into the world of content. There are many types of content creators out there, but for the purposes of this conversation, I've got two broad categories that I'll be talking about when it comes to people spreading disinformation. First, you've got your high-effort cranks. These people are deep down the rabbit hole. They can appear to have a higher level of intellect, but at the same time, most normies will see them as kind of wacko because of how intense they are. When I think of these people, I think of the people that have written a bunch of books or have these websites where they go very, very, very deep into their theories. Like Michael Minkin and his thought helmet made of Velostat. Essentially, the idea is that if you wear this thought helmet, you protect your thoughts from manipulation, mind control, that kind of stuff. It's a very common trope in popular culture. Tinfoil hats, we all know about that. But there's also people like Otis Ray with his time cube. And I'm not even gonna go too much into this guy. He was just, he was a character. I mean, pick a random place in this under-medicated Reddit post of a website and read a few sentences yourself, or don't. Actually, don't bother. Please take me back to the helmet guy. For the most part, the more high-effort cranks are more or less marginalized, but that doesn't mean their ideas don't spread, because that's where the second category comes in, the low-effort peddlers. These people come off as a lot more casual. They use Google and the internet as a credibility device, and they cherry pick data as they see fit. These people prey on your gullibility or lack of background knowledge on a subject or laziness to get you to give them all the clicks and likes and thumbs ups and maybe even your money.
You know what? They did the Brighter Days memory erasure treatment to me, so I'm having trouble remembering the details. They're foggy because at the Brighter Days clinic they do the memory erasure, you know? The memory erasure, they erase my memories. It's a little foggy, but
Many people will chalk this up just to a big joke, or she was being sarcastic or something. But when you know the truth about what's going on in Hollywood, this doesn't sound too far off. Many people will chalk this up just to a big joke, or she was being sarcastic or something.
And if there's one person that I think has perfected the art of low-effort conspiracy peddling, laying out theories in a fraction of the time it would take me to debunk, it's Juan Bergman. But we're going to try to debunk a video of his anyway. So let's go. Okay, so right off the bat, you start off with The Simpsons. Easy start to bring viewers in, because there's the whole meme of the creators being time travelers or being able to tell the future. First thing I want to say is that a lot of times we're looking at things in retrospect and we're only picking out very specific things, when in reality they said a lot of things that don't get talked about. So we're looking at the few things that seem to have come true or seem to be what they were referencing, but they had a lot of other things that people aren't bringing up that would have been quote-unquote wrong. Also, even to the things that seem to be correct, those things are just a product of being really observant. This is typical of artists, whether it be writers, comedians, or even musicians. They're absorbing things from the world around them. So it's not shocking that sometimes they're going to say something and then down the line people are going to go, oh, wait a minute, that exact thing happened, or something close to it. Anyway, now, Balenciaga. Okay, I'm just going to quote the dispatch here. Balenciaga is not a Latin phrase. Translated into Latin, the sentence Baal is king would read Baal Rex Est. Balenciaga is in fact the surname of the brand's Spanish founder, Cristobal Balenciaga. It's a name native to the Basque region of Spain, where Mr. Balenciaga was born in 1895. So, okay, moving on. No, you still want to talk about Baal? Okay, Baal is a name that can refer to a lot of different things. It can refer to the god of storms and rain in Canaanite and Mesopotamian religions. It can also refer to a god that appears in several books of the Bible where they're portrayed negatively. So from what I'm understanding is that the way we're even talking about this Baal deity or deities is from a more modern and Christian biased perspective, and basically us in modern day are using that ambiguity and lack of knowledge on this deity or deities to push a narrative. It's like if I tried to draw a connection between the Incan god Amaru and Martin Lawrence. What, you don't know about Amaru? Well, just take my word for it then. We're on you. We're on you. And this is a bit of an aside, but while we're barking up the wrong tree with ancient deities, there's plenty of things with the founder of Balenciaga's legacy to look into. For example, Cristobal Balenciaga had very close ties with Spanish dictator Francisco Franco, an ally of Adolf Hitler. But that's a whole other can of worms. My point is that I found those articles relatively quickly, and those are rabbit holes that actually seem to have some weight and historical backing behind them. They're actually worth a deeper look by people that are interested enough in the history, but people like Bergman aren't all that interested in history. No, They're interested in farming the same tired, tried and true Illuminati narratives for maximum clicks. So, what am I saying? I'm saying we're primed to believe in all this because it's wrapped up in existing ideas around powerful people, governments, and religion. And as I mentioned earlier, the video itself primes us right off the bat by using Simpsons as a familiar attention grabber. Juan's videos also intentionally present ideas in a certain sequence. We follow the story he's telling us, and he never says a single word in any of his videos. That's the true dark genius behind his content. And another thing, he not only strings these unrelated ideas together to form this narrative, he's using the tool of Google to lend him credibility and give him the air of objectivity. He's not doing actual research, he's not checking any sources. He's just using the Google search engine to simply come across these connections while he just types in things that will get him to the next beat in the story he's trying to tell you. Think about if he just said this with words, how crazy this would sound. The Simpsons, Balenciaga, child sacrifice. Yeah, okay, yeah. Krang from the Ninja Turtles, Dracula, Gucci, Xi Jinping. But okay, let's go back to Japan, where we started. What's going on? Prime example 1, black struggle. People throughout history have seen and continue to see black people as bodies, physical vessels, and tools. Furthermore, governments have experimented on, preyed on, spied on black people for generations. Think Tuskegee syphilis experiments, or COINTELPRO, or the crack epidemic. I could go on. Prime example number 2. So, Tasha slid this in, and I don't have time to go into this topic too deeply, but she says,
I know you were saying why, Tasha. They said they need babies, and black men tend to make a lot of them.
I've always kind of not liked a lot of the ways that we get talked about or talk about ourselves in broader culture, and I don't like anyone, whatever race they are, repeating a lot of these tropes. I'm not going to harp on this too much, but I'll just say that black men's virility and sexuality have been highly mythologized in Western cultures. So when I hear things like that as an adult, I have to really hit pause. I have to think about who all will hear these things and what conclusions they'll come away with and how this stuff is continued through time. I'm gonna leave it at that. Prime example number 3, birth rates. So on the other end of the overall topic, birth rates in countries like Japan and South Korea have been falling, and they do have aging populations. This has been widely discussed and reported on for years, and there are institutions and officials that are trying to address it. Again, a much deeper topic that I won't be diving into in depth, but you can see how there's aspects of truth here. Some intellectual honey mixed with the conspiracy medicine, if you will. But if you want a deeper dive into South Korea that goes way more than this video even scratched the surface of, I'd check out Moon Channel's videos on the Korean gender war. Fair warning though, it's a 2-parter that runs about 2.5 hours in total, but alright. After doing a good amount of research for this video, I actually found the exact kind of article I've been looking for since the start. It's from a website called Ghana Fact, an independent fact-checking platform. I'm not shouting them out because I can vouch for everything they've written, but I will say when I read through this article, they touched on many of the things that I've been finding and thinking about in my own deep dive into the origins of this whole theory. The main thing though is that the article is well sourced, which is exactly what you want from a fact-checking website. These are some of the articles they cite in their debunking. A South Korean firm is offering to pay its workers $75,000 each time they have a baby, CNN. Will Japan's new plan to boost birth rates work? DW. Shrinking Japan wants more babies by dangling financial carrots. Will couples bite? South China Morning Post. Now, while it definitely seemed to get a lot of people's attention, plenty of commenters on TikTok and YouTube have been quick to call BS or say there's no proof for this theory, which is good. But at the point of Tasha K's videos posting, she still has about 1.3 million subscribers on YouTube and over 800k followers on TikTok. She put this video, these ideas, out to her massive audience, and the video is still up. Now, this might not be the most harmful narrative in the world, but it's one in a sea of them, and if we aren't able to discern the truth from the false, we're only going to get duped, forward that misinfo, and make uninformed decisions. So I'm going to close this video out, but I say all this to point out that both critical thinking and media literacy are direly needed, especially in today's increasingly online social and information landscape. Yes, boomers can be especially prone to buying into a lot of things, specifically AI, like this guy's dad.
It's clearly Dad. That's like, I've never seen something more AI than that. That's not real, Dad. You think that's real?
Where is it? Hold on. Where does it say? Listen.
It's too symmetrical. There's all these gradients here. It's a noise of mess. It's just AI. You can see this replicating right there. Dad, why are you being so stubborn about this? You're not gonna find it, Dad.
Or her parents.
My mom was showing me this Facebook video she saw today, and I was like, watching this, I was like, this is AI. Like, this is so clearly fake. And she was like, no, this is real. Let me tell you the premise of the video. 100 poodles doing yoga in China, standing in a line of like 20, 20, 20. They're all like brown, white, or black poodles with the exact same haircut. All turned to the side like this at the same time. They step to the right, step to the left. And I was like, this is not real. And she was like, no, it is real. There's people in the video. And I was like, they can do AI videos of people now. So then I showed my dad. My dad has worked in IT for 20 years. So I showed him the video and I was like, this is AI, right? Like, this is your area of expertise. He sees the video and goes like, no, this is real. And I was like, it's not real. And he was like, no, they can't make AI videos yet. And I was like, yes, they can. They already have. How do you make 100 dogs do yoga? And he was like, no, they just train them really well. Like, they just give them lots of treats. So if you're wondering how Facebook is, that's how it is.
You guys, we're here now. We're at the point now where within a couple of months, people are going to be posting videos of AI-generated news reporters saying things that are just not true. And those of us, the young generation who know that this is happening, we have to be telling the adults. I mean, we are adults, but we have to be telling the older adults in our lives. We have to be telling our parents, our aunts, our uncles, our grandparents to look out for this, to not believe what they see. It's so funny. When we were young, they were like, don't believe what you see on the internet. Now we have to be the ones to turn around and be like, no, you guys, just because you are seeing a video of somebody who looks like a news reporter telling you something does not mean it's true. Like, we are so deeply cooked if we don't teach everybody the literacy to see through AI real fucking fast.
But it's not just boomers. Millennials, Zoomers, and Gen Alpha may be better at spotting AI poodles than our parents and grandparents, but we're all being raised in a world with an increasingly massive amount of false information and ads and AI content, and we all have to stay on our toes and try to maintain a grip on freaking reality. When there's some BS floating around, we gotta be able to say,
okay, I was saying that it's just not true. It's cap, to be honest. But
So, I kicked off this video with a quote from Mark Twain. A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes. Well, that's a lie. Because as I was finishing writing this video essay, I looked up the quote again, and according to both the New York Times and a site called Quote Investigator, Mark Twain did not say this. Quote Investigator writes, "The phrasing and figurative language used in these sayings have been evolving for more than 300 years. In 1787, falsehood was reaching every corner of the earth. In 1820, a colorful version was circulating with lies flying from Maine to Georgia, while truth was pulling her boots on. By 1834, error was running halfway over the world, while truth was pulling on its boots. In 1924, a lie was circling the globe while a truth was lacing its shoes on."
God damn it.
I'm out. The video's over. Check your sources, and if there's no sources, please don't just lean into something. Don't believe things on face value. Develop a sense of healthy skepticism. Don't get your information from Facebook or image boards or the rambling man down the street. Or if you do, at least check what you're hearing. That quote might not be from Twain, but it is valid. We're not always going to be perfect, but in an increasingly truth-averse world, we've got to keep our guard up. And if you find yourself believing something, really ask yourself why you believe it. What got you to that point? Is it proven facts, or are your beliefs held together by different ideas connected by threads? I'm Noah. This is Velo Media. Stay safe out there, folks.